The breathless repetition of exaggerated numbers by the president and by journalists is getting in the way of genuine solutions to the scourge of sexual violence.
We've made incredible progress since 1994, but we cannot let up. Not when 1 in 5 women will be a victim of rape in their lifetime.
Coming up next, we check the facts behind the 1 in 5 estimate. The 1 in 5 rape figure comes from the National Intimate Partner in Sexual Violence Survey, released in 2011 by the Centers for Disease Control. Now, newspapers everywhere carried the alarming news. The CDC survey reported that in the United States in 2010, approximately 1.3 million women were raped and an additional 12.7 million women and men were victims of sexual violence. Now, former Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius hailed the report for giving what she called a clear picture of sexual violence in the United States. But was it a clear picture? First of all, the agency's figures are wildly at odds with the official crime statistics. The Justice Department's annual crime survey, which is the gold standard in crime research, it reports that there were about 188,000 rapes and sexual assaults in 2010. Where did the CDC find more than 1 million and nearly 14 million victims of sexual violence that professional criminologists somehow overlooked? It found them by using a poorly constructed telephone survey with a low response rate and a non-representative sample of respondents. No one interviewed was asked if they had been raped or sexually assaulted. Instead of such straightforward questions, the CDC determined whether the responses indicated sexual violation. Now, 61.5% of the women the CDC projected as rape victims in 2010 experienced what the CDC called, quote, alcohol and drug facilitated penetration. Now, what does that mean? I mean, if a woman was unconscious or incapacitated, then every civilized person would call it rape. But what about sex while inebriated? I mean, few people would say that intoxicated sex alone constitutes rape. Indeed, a non-trivial percentage of all customary sexual intimacy, including marital sex, probably falls under that definition. In short, by using a non-representative sample and vaguely worded questions, the CDC yielded the 1 in 5 lifetime rate and the 1.3 million female rape victims per year. Now, how did the CDC come up with nearly 13 million female and male victims of sexual violence other than rape in 2010? Participants were asked if they had ever had sex because someone pressured them by telling you lies. Did you ever have sex because someone made promises about the future they knew were untrue? Or did someone ever pressure you into sex by showing you they were unhappy? Any affirmative answer to these questions counted as sexual violence. Look, to prevent rape and sexual assault, we need state-of-the-art research. We need sober estimates. False and sensational statistics are going to get in the way of effective policies. And unfortunately, when it comes to research on sexual violence, exaggeration and sensation are not the exception, they are the rule. Now, if you hear about a study that shows epidemic levels of sexual violence against American women or college students or women in the military, I can almost guarantee the researchers use some version of the defective CDC methodology. Now, by this method, known as advocacy research, you can easily manufacture a women's crisis. But here's the bottom line. This is madness. First of all, it trivializes the horrific pain and suffering of survivors, and it sends scarce resources in the wrong direction. Sexual violence is too serious a matter for antics, for politically motivated posturing. And right now, the media, politicians, rape culture activists, they are deeply invested in these exaggerated numbers. It's hard to see how this trend is going to be corrected, and I welcome your suggestions for solutions. So please leave comments below the video, and if you find this video series helpful, I invite you to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Now remember, if you hear any claims about women that strike you as reckless exaggerations, send them my way. Thank you for watching The Factual Feminist.